Good evening. This is the Elliott wave update for the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100 for Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024. The markets did continue to push lower, pretty much as expected. Got a little bit heavier in the Dow and oftentimes here in the S&P and in the NASDAQ, actually. But this whole corrective phase, I had been looking at and we've been discussing pretty much since the podcast, even before the podcast, as the markets began to show some weakness via the cycles. And so that cycle now is actually pointing lower. And it's also the intermediate, so it's like a 3-month and a 1-month, and they're all kind of like coming in together and should be putting some downside pressure on the market. Now, I want to update the picture because within this cycling trough, like working towards a trough, which continues in most views to be due end of April, beginning of May. So we still have quite some time for the market to, or for the cycle to actually bottom out. Now, I'm going to start here on the S&P, and I'm starting on the 4-hour chart, just to review what this all looks like to me. So again, the market remains within a minor fifth wave heading up. That fifth wave up, in my view, again, will be finishing an intermediate C wave and then in turn the primary B wave. That's all the big picture stuff. Now, let's get inside this. Within this minor fifth wave, I am counting out 5 waves of minute degree, of which we had 1, 2, and 3, 3 finishing on Globex high on Sunday. So reaching that price at 5333.50, put in that new high, and then as I did yesterday, moving and placing the minute third wave and with the minuet fifth wave as the completion point there at 5333. Now, that would suggest we're in a minute fourth wave. That, in turn, and the depth that we've gone today, does go nicely with the cycles. With the weakness that the cycles were showing, we're now seeing that. And actually, that for a while has been brewing within the NASDAQ. And it's had its effect on the S&P due to the Mag 7. Now, back in the S&P, what this has done since, on the 4-hour chart, it pretty much just looks like 1, 2, 3, little 4. We got a 5, and that's going to be wave A. That's what the 4-hour looks like. Now I'm going to start to move this down because we want to pay attention to this. First of all, what's left here are the fib retracements for a fourth wave. Now, am I looking for a fourth wave to come 618? No. And if it does, it's going to break the high is going to overlap in wave 1. And here in the S&P, this is not a triangle. So wave 4 cannot overlap wave 1 within the 5-wave advance. Now, this could present some problems, because if it does, what am I going to do? I'm not sure, but I'm just bringing it in because we got down to today's low at 52.35. So we've dropped nearly 100 points off that high in a day, in 2 days, basically 2 trading sessions. And it may, before I do that, let me take this down. That was a 4-hour. Let me take it down to the hourly chart. And let's take a look inside. Could it be 1, 2, and we got a 3, 4, 5 down to here? A, that's the B. 1, 2, 3. This is a 4, maybe a little bit high. And we have one more little drop down to do. Maybe it comes to 52.30. Or is all of this complete? Do we have an A, B, C down complete? And I can label this minute 4. All of the above are applicable right now. And essentially, all I have left is the market itself to kind of let me know or let us know what is going on. I'm going to drop it one more time to the 15-minute chart and let's open it up and let's take a look inside this. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, B. And I did a little more measurement. The B wave does come. It's about, 0.382. Let's just double check. I'm going to put it right there. See, there's the 382, just shy. Well, B wave, we'd be looking for 50, 62%, sure. But the minimum is like 382. But what fits better? Is it 1, 2, 3, 4? And we're looking for this fifth after this. And was that it? So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then down here, is this then A, B, C? Okay, so you're seeing how I'm working this. I'm taking it down to a 15-minute chart. Wave 4 needs to be an ABC. So is this an A, B, and this is the C wave down to there. And what we've now started, this is not real pretty, but you know what? Both the NASDAQ and the S&P tend to put in this crappy start and then launch. And just launch. So I'm going to continue to look at these because we now see this pattern over and over again. Where it's like, nope, down, nope, no. And then yes, yes, and then yes. So it gets interesting to me. But in any case, I'm feeling that, well, I'm going to allow for another drop down. I actually, again, 52.20 is what sits under this with the please don't break zone. It just produces a situation where it's either the allowances have to be made or figuring out what actually is happening in the market. Do we need to switch things around? Do we need to move or reassess the count? Back out here, do we need to take a look to see what in essence is everything, is all of this? Right now, to me, it does appear to be very clear. 1, 2, 3. And I'm actually thinking the 4 is done. We had the 2 A's and C. They were deep. They were swift. The whole thing basically came down almost to the 50%. So it all fits. We went into the price territory of the fourth wave of one lesser degree. We exceeded it, but now we've come back to close at that low. So it appears that there's a possibility that it did. So I'm leaving it all here. The market itself needs to tell us, because what would then now expectations would be that the market starts to move higher and likely would start to do it pretty quickly. And the reason is it's kind of taking like all this and just regurgitating it back out and saying, yeah, fine, thanks. And we just go. So which means they move back into NVIDIA. They move back into Apple. They move back into AMD. They move back into, there aren't any other ones that really got smacked hard today to drive the markets lower. But there were some that are inside the NASDAQ that we likely, could get a turn. Enough of a turn, maybe within a lot of the individual stocks within it, it's just going to be a 3-wave bounce. But collectively, it would be enough if we get a decent enough move out of, well, Tesla, SMCI, NVIDIA, Microsoft, Meta turned itself around today in a very heavily down market, gave itself a good little rally. So if that all just picks up some speed, then yes, I could see us getting up and getting back real quick to above all this level. Now, let me go back out and just show you, because once again, what am I looking at? I'm looking at wave 1 to wave 5, and it could be pretty hefty duty. Hefty duty, that was a good word, eh? It could be heavy duty. That's the word I was looking for. So let's go and put this in and see where we are. So again, we got C equal, excuse me, 5 equals A. Oh boy, long days. 5 equals 1 at 54.56. 618, 53.71, which I got to tell you fits. Now remember, we're in a market starting to tire, starting to give more signs of weakness, has a couple of cycles that are going to continue to be pointing down. So any upside move may be swift, quick, to the point, and done. As then the cycles continue to take priority, so to speak, and continue to weaken the market, and we continue then to correct. Except this time, it would be correcting in the starting wave, the starting sequences for much larger correction. And then that one could take us out through the end of April, beginning of May. So now we're into earnings season. And if you'll notice, they're already out there talking it up, folks. Words like, oh, the banks are starting, but let's see, oh, the banks were a little bit weak today. Oh, gee, okay, what are we doing? So we're going to see this narrative start to roll around, start to really kind of put it together. Is this good? Is this bad? What are we doing? And everybody's now going to be focused on the earnings, good or bad. But what I'm saying is that all necessarily could fit inside an initial 5-wave sequence down on a minor degree or even an intermediate degree. It could fit, because don't forget, we still have very powerful corrective waves that go within it. Wave 2 corrects wave 1, wave 4 corrects wave 3. Even inside those moves, it's a 5 waves down, and the first wave down is going to consist of its own 5. And 2 corrects 1, and 4 corrects 3. And that repeats until we have that larger pattern in place. Now, so all cards are out on the table right now. I am not jumping up and down going like, yeah, but I'm fairly satisfied with how the market has revealed itself and how the labeling is on this chart. The moving averages still are not, they are hanging. Now we're looking at the 4-hour. We're looking at, there's the 13, there's the 20, are overlapping, trying to figure it out. And the 50s kind of sitting right there. And both on the 4-hour chart are sitting about, so we got the 13 and the 20 sitting right above the 50. The 200's also flat, but below a level that I don't want it to go to. So again, I'm going to leave this open as to whether it is complete. I am marking the fib as if there's the possibility that this is done. That's what I'm going to go with right now. Now, let's move over to the NASDAQ, which continues to be the problem child. Now, I'm going to move back out again. Let's go back out and start on that 4-hour chart. Again, this one, I've made, again, an alteration. I had moved the 1 up to here to accommodate a different type of count that was happening. I've moved it back down, put the 1 here. It's still A, B, C. A, B, C, A, B, C, A, B, C, A of 3, A, B, C, B of 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, C of 3. So the third wave continues, the minute third wave continues to be complete at 18,710 or 09, wherever that level was. And then what we're working on is the fourth wave. But it's not like it began pretty much from its start to overlap wave one. One now topped out at 18,369. So it's just overlapping after today's action. Now, notice it broke the 4-hour, but the 4-hour 200, but managed to get itself back above it. But it broke the bottom trend line. Fourth waves can do that and then get themselves back up into it. So here we are again. Do I put a C wave down here? The 50% marker is 18,163. So if this is like one or AB, whatever, or however we're going to work this to get the ABC down, or 1, 2, 3, 4, possibly. Don't forget, this was craziness. This was craziness from yesterday. That just presents such a headache. This, as to how we're going to count that. It has to be in there because it happened. The opening, the death. Buy it back, the death. This was pretty strong. This was actually very strong. And then just pulling it straight back up. But the weaknesses in the stocks was quite evident. But then, as they normally will do, it's NVIDIA, and then Meta joined the party and popped itself higher. And it was like, okay. And so we started to get a decent bid. And they're still kind of bidding it up a little bit here. So again, is there a possibility that the wave 4 is done? Yes, there is. And I could put it here. And if that's the case, well, then what are we looking at? I got to go back out to my 4-hour chart and open this up, and we take a look, because I'd have to, best I can, we run it as such. There's probably some different ones as well, but it's the one I'm going to continue to use for right now, because we can go inside. There are fibs that you could run inside the triangle. But if we do it here, look at that, 618, 18,757. And it creates a new high. And the market is not totally strong. But if we get something going, bam, it could get there. We did it here. We can do it here. Just saying, same issue continues to apply. Both markets. I'm not as heavy on it in the S&P as I am in the NASDAQ, and hopefully the support that the S&P can provide along with the other markets to the NASDAQ to get it back up there to finish this whole move. We'll see. Otherwise, those counts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 done. We're heading lower. I know it puts a lot of pressure on, well, what the heck was all of this? I understand that. Totally, I understand that. But I would break it down and I'd go through it and I'd start talking to the senior Elliotticians that I am friends with to say, help me out with this. What the heck is all of this? Or possibly even some of the younger people to say, give me a fresh eye into this. It's not that it's impossible, but when you're looking at it and you're trying to determine, well, if that marked the end, and this is supposed to be the kickoff phase of a much larger primary C wave down. And so we're looking for that initial stronger 5 waves down on a 4-hour and a 1-hour chart. And that's how we began. Kind of just says no. But so that's why I'm going to look for this to make one more high and still not get up here where we were thinking. But here, very possible. The 100%, well, it is at 19,000. But I'm telling you, something good's got to happen between now and I don't think we can go, this can go on for 2 or 3 weeks, not with those cycles pointing so heavily down. That's what's really going to start to put its pressure in the market. And the weakness will continue, but will be persistent. But I do think I do think we can do a quick Yahoo Mountain Dew and get ourselves right back up there. Under light volume, when buyers are going to have to buy, now don't forget, please don't forget that we still have, this is the beginning of the month, the 401k money. And I know I call it new because it's just this month's, the month of March. They get their pays, they get the money, and then they put it in at the beginning of the month. And often it's the first Tuesday of the second week. So this being the first week, and the first was yesterday. Well, today was, I don't know, getting out versus the new money coming in. At the end of the day, though, it was pretty good. It was like buy it. And that maybe continues tomorrow. So maybe it's Tuesday, Wednesday. I don't know, to be exact. I'm not in charge of like, when money moves in and out of, Schwab and all of their accounts are just either the other money managers. But I know that it's consistent and it continues to work. So if those things can help to propel us to these levels, then we're going to get up there. So I do think we're going to be paying attention to see, is this fourth wave done? If so, that would be the level. If not, we get another little rally down, decline down, and it should find support at 18,148. But and a fourth wave is going to knock me out. We start breaking down below again. We start breaking down below that trend line. It's very important to retake it. You break it far enough, and then it's like it's over. It's over, and we're dropping. And then we'll see. We will witness it. That's going to be the other thing. This kind of gave the feeling, and big enough little crush there after breaking the 200 did exist, but they bought it right back. That's the important factor. Okay, this is where I'm going to complete. Moving averages still in line. The 50s, the 50s flat, the 200s flat, the 13 and 20 are coming down. All right, that's where I'm going to complete it for today. The next update will be on Wednesday, April the 3rd.